Hey guys, welcome back to a new video. Right, okay, so today what I thought I would do is my top 10 movies of 2017. Now, last year I did my first one of these for 2016 because I've been going to the movies quite a lot the last 2 years. So I thought, why not? I've seen over 20 films again this year, so I'm going to do my top 10 for 2017. So hopefully you'll enjoy this. Please note before we even begin, for anyone that watches this video, these are my personal top 10 movies. These are just films that out of the 20 plus films I have seen this year, I've enjoyed the most. I haven't seen every single film that's been released this year, so there are some like Dunkirk which I still haven't seen, so that won't be on the list. But there are other great films that I've thoroughly enjoyed, and hopefully you have as well. And if you haven't, it may inspire you to go and watch them as well and check them out. Okay, so number 10 is Geostorm. So Geostorm is a disaster movie with Gerard Butler. Now, basically, the main premise of the film is that Gerard Butler is a scientist. He headed up a team who created a weather control system. Then the weather control system is hacked. It sends the Earth into turmoil, and there's all kinds of storms and shit happening, and he has to go into space and stop it. It sounds crazy, and the trailers look really cheesy and corny and really dumb. But the film isn't as bad, not as corny as the trailers actually made it out to be. When I watched it, I was really surprised how good it is as a disaster flick. It's really fun. And you don't take films like this seriously. They're a disaster movie, so they're just popcorn fun. And I thoroughly enjoyed Geostorm, so I'm definitely buying that on Blu-ray when it comes out. It's an excellent film. I'd highly recommend watching it, guys. I'm not a big fan of disaster movies. There's only two that have really impressed me, and that was 2012 and not so long ago was San Andreas with The Rock, San Andreas, which I really enjoyed both of those. I own those on Blu-ray. And this is going to be the third one. I'm really impressed with this. It's a really, really fun film. And if you like a good disaster movie or just a good Hollywood popcorn flick where you don't have to think and you don't have to analyse story and all this and remember things, you just want to have a bit of action, a bit of fun, and you like Gerard Butler, check out Geostorm. It's a great film. Next up, number 9, Spiderman Homecoming. So this is the second reboot in so many years from Sony of the Spider-Man franchise. And yeah, I really liked the film. I thought it was really good. I actually like this new younger version of Peter Parker. And obviously we were introduced to him in Captain America Civil War, which was brilliant. He had a brief cameo in the airport scene, which was fantastic. And yeah, I thought they did a really good job of introducing the character. They didn't do any of the origin stuff, thank God. And I like the fact that they got Iron Man as his mentor, which was, Tony Stark was there just to give him a bit of advice. And it wasn't overused either. It really was a Spider-Man movie. It wasn't an Iron Man movie featuring Spider-Man, which was brilliant. I love Michael Keaton. I thought Michael Keaton's Vulture was fantastic. Michael Keaton's so good. He's such an amazing actor anyway. But he really showed how good he is in this film. He's absolutely superb. And it was a really, really fun film, but some really good humour in there as well, really light-hearted. I like the fact that Peter Parker's young, he's learning about his powers, he's enjoying the moment, he's not taking it too seriously, he's just having fun with it all. It's absolutely brilliant. Really, really good film, so definitely recommend that one. Okay, next up, number 8, is a film that apparently seems to get a few mixed reviews. I thought it was actually really good, and it's Valerian, City of a Thousand Planets, which stars Cara Delevingne and Dane DeHaan. Dane DeHaan plays Valerian. Now, it's made by Luc Besson, and apparently it's based on, I think it was a 1980s French comic. It's quite a famous comic in France, apparently. And he's been wanting to do this for a long time, for most of his directorial lifetime. I think this is like a passion project. And it's absolutely brilliant. I really enjoyed this film a lot. I was really surprised. I thought it was just, from the trailers, very flashy visuals, beautiful, colourful. There was lots of really great visual effects, and I thought I was just going to be visual effects heavy. There isn't going to be much of a story, but it's actually really good. Basically, the beginning of the film, a planet of aliens, their planet blows up. A lot of the aliens manage to escape. One of them doesn't, and the one that doesn't escape transfers their soul, and their soul goes into Valerian, which you find out later in the film. And Valerian's obviously not aware of this, and it's tugging him towards something. And they start out, they have to find an object, and then the story unravels, and eventually you find out why the planet was blown up in the first place and what happens to the aliens. It's really, really good. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I did, from beginning to end. I've seen people saying reviews that the story didn't make sense. Well, to me it did. At the end of the film, I thought they tied it up quite nicely, explained everything really. There wasn't anything unexplained. It was very simple. So yeah, and as I say, the visual effects are absolutely incredible. Some of the stuff in this film absolutely stunning to look at. It's a beautiful film, and I can't wait to watch it in 4K with HDR, because HDR is really going to shine on this film. Superb. I thought Cara Delevingne was absolutely fantastic as usual. I'm a big fan of hers. I think she's absolutely great. I love doing Paper Towns. I actually even liked her in Suicide Squad. I know a lot of people aren't happy with the Enchantress character, but I thought her June Moon / Enchantress was fantastic. And then, of course, Dane DeHaan, who plays Valerian. At first, initially, I was getting a bit annoyed because he's doing his very best young Keanu Reeves impression. And I was like, oh, dude, I don't know if I can watch this, because I don't know much about the guy. I don't know much about his career. So this is really probably the first time I've been aware of him. And I was like, oh, I don't know about that. But as the film progressed, I just got into the story and I kind of just let that slide. And, you know, I had Cara to look at, which was always a good thing. So, yeah. But Valerian is an excellent film. As I always say with films, don't take notice of critics, because online critics in particular, they all really just agree with each other for the most part. They'll either slag a film off really badly or absolutely praise the hell out of it, which I don't really understand. And they get really, really nitpicky, and that really annoys me as well, because it's just silly most of the time. I think at the end of the day, you can watch a review or several reviews and it'll give you an idea about what the film's like. But if you've seen the trailers and the film appeals to you, just go watch it, just go see it and make your own mind up. Because I've learnt in the past, last year alone, Deadpool, everyone loved it. I thought it was shite. Batman v Superman, majority of people hated it. It's one of my favourite films, and it was my #1 film of 2016. So you have to make your own mind up and go and see the films, I think. Right, next up is number 7. Now, this will come as a surprise to people who know me well and my movie tastes. So, I am a massive fan of the DCEU, but number 7 is Justice League. And the reason it's so low down the list is because I watched it a second time. I watched it when it came out on the Friday, I think it was. And then the following week I went to see it again because I wanted to make my mind up. I wasn't certain if I liked it. I thought it was really good when I first saw it, but then I thought, there's things about it I need to go and watch again and, you know, see how I feel. And on second viewing, I must admit, it isn't as great as I thought it was. There were scenes that I loved, like the initial opening scene with Batman on the rooftop, when the fog opens the door and you see the reflection of Batman, and he's just perched there ready to pounce. Absolutely brilliant. When he's holding the power demon over the edge, incredible. There's, you know, the Wonder Woman stuff, the stuff in Themyscira, Aquaman, I mean, doesn't get a lot to do, but he's absolutely brilliant. Cyborg, I love all the stuff with Cyborg. We didn't get enough Cyborg. He's fantastic. I'm really interested to see more about that character. I thought Ray Fisher did a brilliant job. Superman, not really for me. I didn't mind it. It wasn't like I hated it or anything, but I don't like Boy Scout Superman. I know that's what everybody wanted, and that's why they've done it. But for me, I prefer Zack Snyder's Man of Steel, dark, brooding, moody, gritty Superman. That's more my style. I prefer that, but it's just down to personal preference. It doesn't throw me out of the movie and think, oh god, he's too light and all American. I mean, it's whatever, you know. I don't really care, because to be fair, I prefer Batman, as you can see back there. He's my favourite character, so, you know, I can let it slide. Flash, I wasn't too impressed with. I used to like the TV show. I've stopped watching that recently, but Grant Gustin did a brilliant job as Flash. I think Ezra Miller's Flash, on second viewing in particular, it's kind of annoying. He was kind of irritating me. And there was bad editing in the film. There's a scene, for some random reason, in the battle near the end, where he suddenly cuts to the Flash, and he's just lying on the floor like a Playboy pose. And I was like, huh? What's that there for? That was a bit stupid. And I don't know, I found the character kind of annoying after a while. There were bits that I liked about him. I liked the bit with the Russian family. That was funny. But, yeah, I wasn't a massive Flash fan. I know it seems a lot of the critics, that was their standout character. For me, the standout character was Cyborg. He was fantastic. But the beginning of the film didn't feel like it was choppy. It was just like scene, stop. Right, let's get into the narrative. And it was just too choppy, and I didn't like that at all. The fact that you get that scene that's in the trailer with Diana, where she's working with a statue in what looks to be an art gallery, and basically it only serves to be there just so that they have the TV on the background to fill in a bit of narrative. They don't explain why she's there. Is this a job that she's doing every day? What's the purpose of it all? You know, what's going on with Wonder Woman? It was really weird. I didn't like that at all. I didn't like the way that softened down Batman, because in Batman v Superman we had this grizzled Batman who's been doing it for years. He's pissed off. He just doesn't give a shit anymore. He's branding people, and he's an absolute bastard. And it was absolutely brilliant. But in this one, they really made him more light-hearted, and it's like, that's not Batman. Batman ain't light-hearted. He lives in Gotham, for Christ's sake. You know, Superman can be light-hearted because he lives in a nice Metropolis, you know, it's beautiful. Whereas Gotham is gritty and dark and depressing, you know. So Batman is not going to be a happy man. So I don't know. Overall, it was a decent film and I enjoyed it enough to want to buy it on Blu-ray and add it to the DCU EU collection because I have all the other films, you know. I love Man of Steel. Batman v Superman is my favourite of the DC movies. I absolutely adore that film. The extended cut in particular. Suicide Squad was okay. I watched it a second time and I got it on Blu-ray and it wasn't as great. But there's still things I love, like the Joker's brilliant. I love Katana. You know, there were certain scenes. Boomerang's quite funny in it. So there are things I love Enchantress. There are things I enjoy. I just don't think the film's overall particularly brilliant compared to the rest. And then Wonder Woman, I will talk about in a bit because that's on my list. And of course, Justice League is a bit of a mixed bag. So that's number 7. So number 6, I keep looking over there because that's where my list is American Made. This is a real surprise for me. I didn't expect this film to be as good as it is. And this is a Tom Cruise movie. And Tom Cruise plays a guy called Barry Seal. This is based on real events. And Barry Seal is a pilot who is recruited by the CIA to run drugs for Pablo Escobar and bring him into America. And this is during the 80s, during the Iran-Contra scandal. And they're trying to get money, basically, the Black Ops money, to fund the Contras to fight the war. And so they get Barry Seal to bring the drugs in, and then eventually it ends up bringing arms in, and it gets very complicated and out of control. And it's absolutely fantastic movie. It's got ups, it's got downs, it's got drama, it's got comedy. It's fantastic. And Tom Cruise in particular, best thing I've seen him do in a couple of years, because he did Jack Reacher 2 and he did The Mummy. They weren't good films, and he was good. I mean, Tom Cruise is always brilliant. But it wasn't his greatest days, those two films, his great performance. But this one, this is the Tom Cruise of old. This is not action man Tom Cruise. This is charming Tom Cruise with a big smile and the swagger. And I absolutely loved American Made. I thought it was a fantastic movie. It really surprised me. And a real nice surprise. I'd highly recommend watching it. And the interesting thing was, after I watched that, there's a guy called Freeway Rick Ross. And he basically was like the biggest crack dealer in Los Angeles back in the 80s. And it ties in with the American Made because, from what I understand, there's a documentary currently on Netflix about Rick Ross's life, which was really interesting to watch. I'll put the title on the screen or in the description because I can't remember what it's called, but it's an excellent documentary. And Rick Ross, basically, the drugs that Barry Seal and his boys were bringing in, he was flooding the LA community with crack and making a shitload of money off it. You know, feel about that how you will. I mean, you know, but the documentary is really good at showing both sides of it, and it was really quite interesting. So it was nice to have that time, but yeah, to see like both sides really, from the CIA and Barry Seal's side of things, and then the devastation that obviously came with Rick Ross and what he was doing. Fantastic. So yeah, American Made is a highly recommended film. It's fantastic. Next one, number 5, is right in the middle. We've got Star Wars Episode 8, The Last Jedi. So yes, I watched that last week, I think it was, when it came out on the Friday. And overall, I enjoyed the film. I thought it was really good. It's not as good as Force Awakens and Rogue One, in my opinion. I prefer those two films, and they're the ones that I'd go back to more often. But overall, I really like the film. There are things I didn't like about the film, and I know that at the moment there seems to be people who are absolutely loving it and people who are absolutely hating it, and not many in the middle as per usual, as is society today. But for me, the majority of the good stuff outweighed the bad stuff. There wasn't really much I didn't like about the film, other than the fact that I didn't like the humour with Poe and Hux at the beginning. Didn't work. It was just flat, really, because they tried to do it 3 times in a row, and it felt like a Family Guy sketch, and it was just getting stretched out. I'm sitting there going, what the hell's going on? It felt like the movie ground to a halt. It was really strange. And also the beginning of the movie was a little bit slow to get going. Once it got going, it was brilliant. The only other things I didn't like really were, there was Yoda. I'm not a fan of Yoda. I've always found him an irritating character. Now, I've got no nostalgic memories. I didn't grow up with Star Wars. I was a Star Trek kid. So Star Wars is new to me. I only got into it in 2015, just before Force Awakens came out. I watched the original 6 and then watched Force Awakens. So I am new to it. I have no attachment to the original characters. Don't like Yoda as a character. He's irritating. I felt like he was just shoehorned into The Last Jedi. He just randomly appears for Luke, and I was like, that's just really an excuse just to put him in the film. Now, I know people are saying the same about Maz Kanata from Force Awakens, that it doesn't make a lot of sense her being in this one because the characters don't know who she is. Finn only met her once. He wouldn't have that kind of relationship with her to look for advice. I get that. But, you know, it's just, whatever. I just take no notice. Most of the stuff that people complain about, I think it's a sci-fi fantasy movie set in space in the future. with weird creatures, you can't take any of this seriously, and you can't look for plot holes because it's just stupid to do so. I understand if you're a hardcore, die-hard Star Wars guy or girl, and you buy all the comics and books and Christ knows what, and you're into all the fiction as well as watching the film, and you really know every intricate detail, then I understand your plot hole picking. But for the majority of the audience, like myself, just chill, man. Just enjoy the film. It's really good. It isn't as good as Force Awakens and Rogue One, no way. But it has a lot of really great space battle action. It has some great moments with Rey and Finn, and the new character Rose, who's Finn's love interest, which I really liked. I thought that was nicely done. Leia's really well handled, although the death in space scene was a bit odd. But I just, Gashead said to me, that's just stupid. And I went, it's the Force. And that's what you've got to do with a lot of it. You just go, it's the Force. Luke, as good as he was, I thought Mark Hamill did a great job, but really he just spends the majority of the movie sitting on an island. But yeah, overall, I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was a good film. Really good fight sequence with Rey and Kylo Ren. That was really cool. When Snoke gets taken out, which was a real shock. I did not expect to see that coming at all. That was just like, holy shit, man, they whacked Snoke this early. I was like, okay, fair enough then. We're not going to learn anything about him. But yeah, overall, great film. Just not as good as the other two. And just quickly, just rank my Star Wars films. For me personally, it would go Empire Strikes Back, Force Awakens, Rogue One, Return of the Jedi, The Last Jedi, New Hope, and then it would obviously be Revenge of the Sith, Attack of the Clones, Phantom at the bottom because it's a pile of shit. So there you go, that's my Star Wars talk. Number 4 is a great film, which again, another film that got lukewarm reception when it came out back at the beginning of the year. I think it came out in December in America, so it was a 2016 film for them. But for us, it came out in January, so it does qualify as a 2017 film. And I went to see it, and it's called Live by Night. And I'm not sure if it was written, I think it was, but it was definitely directed and stars Ben Affleck. Absolutely great. It's like a 30s gangster film, basically. And it's just absolutely incredible. I was so impressed with this film all the way through. I loved it. And it's basically about Ben Affleck's character coming up from the bottom and making something of himself and getting involved in the drug trade and Christ knows what else. And his love interest gets killed, and he moves down to, I think it's Florida, if I remember rightly, and gets involved with some other people down there and falls in love with Zoe Saldana. It's just great. I've watched it twice so far, once on the cinema, once on Blu-ray. And I was really impressed with the film. I thought it was great. And it's not, the thing is, I think a lot of people probably were disappointed because it's not traditional gangster in terms of loads of like gunfights. It is more of a thriller and more talky and more story driven. You don't really get any real hardcore shooting the shit out of people until the end of the film, which is a fantastic sequence in its own. And I think it's Robert Glenister, if I remember correctly, who plays the villain. Brilliant actor. People will know him over here from the TV show, which is now escaping my mind because it always does. Oh Christ, what's it called? Yeah, anyway, I'm not going to remember it. Hustle, that was it. He was Ash in Hustle. He's also the brother of Philip Glenister, who was in Live on Mars, who's usually the one that people see the most acting. But Robert Glenister is a fantastic actor in his own right and did a great job as a villain. Live by Night is great. Highly recommend checking it out, guys. Then we got number 3, which is Wonder Woman. So yeah, the best DC film this year. Absolutely love Wonder Woman. I thought Gal Gadot did a great job in Batman v Superman, the little bit that she had. To get her own film and hold it, I didn't know she'd be able to do that, to be able to be the front person of a film, but yeah, brilliant. She held her own and I thought she did a great job. I like the fact that we got Chris Pine as Steve Trevor as well. He was brilliant. I don't know the names of the two, what we propose. Well, one's the woman who makes the gases, and then the other guy who's supposed to be the big bad, but actually isn't the big bad, and we find out who the big bad is at the end of the film. But those two are absolutely brilliant. I thought the story was great. I thought it looked absolutely beautiful. Themyscira looked fantastic. I like the fact that we start in Themyscira with young Diana, and we see her grow and develop her powers, and then Steve Trevor turns up and she's dragged into World War One, and she has to go and save the world. It's fantastic. It's such a good film. So well made. So well written. Gal Gadot is amazing. I love Gal Gadot. I just love the fact that when the camera's so close on her face, that without saying a word, just the emotion in her face, in her eyes, and the way she twitches her eyebrows and the little bit there, it's just incredible. She's so good at expressing emotion. She's brilliant. And when she's running across the battlefield, across no man's land, and It's just everything about this film is fantastic, and watching it in 4K and all HDR on this film is stunning. It looks incredible on UHD Blu-ray, so I did get the Steelbook because I've got the Steelbook for all the DC films so far, so I had to do that. So I imported that from the States. It's fantastic. Yeah, I love Wonder Woman. Absolutely brilliant movie. Right, on to the top 2. So these might be a bit of a surprise. Number 2 is a film I saw on Friday. It's now... what day is it? No, I saw it on Wednesday. It's Friday today. Christ, I'm losing track of days. Yeah, I saw it 2 days ago. And that is a film literally just came out on Wednesday. It's Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle. Absolutely fantastic film. Really surprised. I never watched the original with Robin Williams back in the 90s. So it all passed me by the Jumanji thing. But in this one, it's basically a sequel / reboot. And the idea in this one is that you have 4 high school children. You have the jock, you have the nerd, you have the popular girl, and you have the shy, reclusive girl. And they're all put into detention for different reasons. And while in detention, they're told to clean out the basement. And they clean the basement, they find a games console with a cartridge in it. They put the cartridge in, and it's Jumanji, the video game. And they get sucked into the video game after choosing their characters. And then they take on the avatars. And the avatars are played by The Rock, Kevin Hart, Karen Gillan and Jack Black. And they're absolutely brilliant. The way that they do this movie, the way they really are so good, the main actors that are portraying these kids, and it's just so funny. And Jack Black, I mean, he's getting all the praise, and rightly so, because he plays the popular girl who's obsessed with Instagram, and it is so funny. He's absolutely brilliant. But I also really like Kevin Hart, because he's the jock, and when he becomes the avatar, he's little Kevin Hart, and he's got all these all the things that hold him back, like he can't run fast, he hasn't got much strength, his biggest weakness is cake. It's really funny. And The Rock is fantastic. He's the nerd, but when he's The Rock, he's massive. And he kicked the shit out of everybody, and he's like the hero who smoulders. He's so funny. And I love Karen Gillan as well. I thought she was absolutely brilliant. When she has to try and flirt with these soldiers, it's hilarious. She's absolutely brilliant. And Jack Black's obviously he's really a girl, so he's trying to teach her how to smoulder and how to attract men and to flirt with them. It's absolutely brilliant. It's such a fun film. It's one of those films that basically I have on Blu-ray, and you just, whenever you've got nothing else to watch, you can't decide what to watch, you just put Jumanji on, because it's just a really fun family film. It's great for everybody. There's nothing offensive about it. It's just really fun, lots of comedy, lots of action, a really great classic traditional family film. I love it. I absolutely love Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle. And my number 1 movie of 2017 was a real surprise as well. It's a movie which I didn't expect to be as impressed with as I was. And that movie is The Foreigner, which stars Jackie Chan and Pierce Brosnan. So The Foreigner, the trailers aren't actually accurate. The trailers make it look like a revenge flick, because the trailers show that Jackie Chan's in London with his daughter. A bomb goes off, his daughter dies, and he goes looking for revenge and beats the hell out of people. That ain't what the film is. It's basically a political thriller and a commentary on the Irish situation. It's a really interesting film. You've got Pierce Brosnan, who plays like a Jerry Adams, and he's moved on. He's trying to keep the peace, and he's trying to make sure he can hold on to his power. But unfortunately, there's a rogue faction who are trying to start trouble again and are bombing Britain. And he needs to find out who they are. And Jackie Chan's constantly on him and on the British government to find out who they are to get revenge. And it's just absolutely fantastic film. Pierce Brosnan's performance is absolutely incredible. Best thing I've seen him do since No Escape, which is where he played a British spy. And he only had a few moments in that film, but he was incredible in it. But this is something else, man. It really shows how good of an actor Pierce Brosnan is. And Jackie Chan, he does his usual Jackie Chan fighting and his acrobatics, which are great. But the actual acting that he does, the emotion, there's a moment at the beginning of the film when his daughter's passed away, and there's a girl talking to him, and he just turns and his tear rolls down his face, and it's like, holy shit, man, he really gets you in the moment. He's absolutely brilliant at it. And it's just a fantastic movie. Really, really surprised me how good the film was. And I say it really is about a political intrigue thriller. It's not a Liam Neeson taken revenge flick in any way, shape or form. That trailer is completely misleading, I think. So I'd highly recommend watching it, guys. And if you're in the UK, because I don't know about America, but in the UK, The Foreigner is currently on Netflix. So go and watch it. It's absolutely brilliant. So there you go. That's my top 10 for 2017, guys. I'll be interested to see what you guys think are your top 10 movies and what films you've enjoyed this year. So let me know in the comments below. I'm sure you won't all agree with me with the order I've put these films in, and you probably won't even agree with some of the films I've chosen, because there are a few films I know that people don't like. But these are films that I enjoy, and that's all that matters. So I will do another one next year, of course, because there are a lot of films coming out in 2018. I've got a list, and a lot of really great films are coming out next year. I can't wait to go watch all of those. And yeah, thank you very much for watching. As always, I really hope you've enjoyed this video. I look forward to your comments down below, and I will see you in the next video.